What's going on, Bully fam? It's your boy, Mr. Double Muscle Line Bulls, bringing you a quick episode. This is going to be a quick tutorial and a quick walkthrough as far as if you've gotten a progesterone machine from us, from breedershacks.com. This is just to show you guys that have purchased machines from us, a quick step-by-step tutorial on how to set up your machine, how to accurately run progesterone tests for yourself or clients, and just like I said, a quick walkthrough just to show you guys how to properly use these machines. I get people who make simple mistakes, simple errors that can actually drastically change the results of the test. We want the most accurate results when doing these tests, so I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, I have a progesterone that I actually need to do right now. And if you haven't gotten a machine from us, you could get one on breedershacks.com. These machines are absolutely great. I've been doing plenty of breedings with them and getting successful litters, as well as I have plenty of clients who are also using these machines, as well as, doing it as a service to people in their community, making a little bit of side money, as well as I have vets that actually purchase these machines from us. So let's get started. And like I said, if you don't have a machine, some of these techniques do apply to other machines, but this is really going to be strictly guided towards the machines that we sell on our site. So once you take your machine out of the box, it's pretty straightforward. So obviously you're going to take the power cord, plug it into the side right next to the power switch, and go ahead and plug that into an outlet. Now, what you'll do is you'll go ahead and turn on the machine, make sure it's on a flat surface, and it should say system starting, and it's going to take a few, maybe like a minute or two to turn on. In the meantime, what you can do while this is turning on is make sure that you go ahead and grab yourself a box of test strips. And yet again, we sell these on the site, and we're going to be needing this, as well as some other things that do come in your package and box when it comes in. Depending on if you bought a bundle or not, you will want to have a centrifuge to go ahead and spin the blood once we do the test, as well as if you get the bundle, you also get the mini vortex. That'll you'll have everything plugged in, set up, ready to go. Another thing that you'll want to unbox and take out is your pipette. We're going to be needing this, as well as you will be needing the tips to your pipettes. And then the final thing that you will also need that comes in your box, and make sure you guys do not lose this. This is extremely important. Make sure you do not lose this strip. This is your quality control strip, and this is to make sure that the machine is running effectively and efficiently and correctly. There's no problems every time. We'll get to this in a minute. So, okay, the machine is on, right? It opened up the slot, to enter your test strips. It's powered up. So the first thing you can look at when the machine is on is the one thing you'll want to notice before you even think about running any kind of test. Check the temperature. So it has an and what I love about these machines is it has an internal chamber that once the test strip goes inside the machine, it keeps it at a consistent temperature. Temperature is very essential and key when doing these tests so that it's accurate every time. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is check the temperature. We want it to get to like 25, 26 degrees Celsius. So in the meantime, what I first do is, like I said, when I'm doing the test, I turn on the machine, let it start to run. So what we can do now is, while the machine is on and while the machine is running, we're going to go ahead and draw the blood and get the blood ready. So that's the first thing. So I will be right back, and I'm going to go ahead and draw the blood. If you want to learn how to draw blood, we have an episode on Breeders Hacks. You can scroll down, check out that episode. We're not really touching on that today. We just want to focus on getting an accurate and correct test done. So like I said, I'm going to draw the blood and be right back. So now we have our blood sample. If you guys need syringes, I'll put the link in the description of where I get mine, K9 Pharmacy Direct. Anyway, I always draw about, I like to have at least like 2 cc's. The minimum you're going to need when you're drawing blood to do a progesterone, I would say, is about 1 cc. Just in case something happens with the test or whatever the case may be, I always like to draw about 2 cc's. Just in case one's more clotted than the other, saves me on time, things like that. So go ahead now, and we sell these on the site. If not, you're gonna put them in whatever type of centrifuge tube that you have. So we have these mini centrifuge tubes right here. Gonna go ahead and put this in. And there you go. 1 cc in this mini centrifuge tube. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is spin this down, put this in our centrifuge, and what you want when doing a progesterone test is you don't want to test whole blood. Even though the machine says it can do whole blood, I would not do that. It's not the most accurate, at least in my opinion. I always go with the serum. So that's for any progesterone machine. Go with the serum. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is put this in my mini centrifuge. If you have a larger centrifuge, you could do that too. But I like the minis for the progesterone test. So you'll go ahead and put this in. And what you want to make sure is if you have a centrifuge, for example, like if you got a mini centrifuge from us in our bundle, you want to make sure that the weight is balanced. And I mean, that's really on any centrifuge. So we got 1 cc of water in here, as well as 1 cc of blood. So now it's equally balanced, because if you don't, it can break it, and you don't want that, especially when you're in the middle of doing the test and you need the results. So we'll go ahead and close this, turn it on in the back, and now it's going to go ahead and start spinning down our blood. So you can hear that it's going to start spinning it down. I only let it spin for a few minutes. It's really not that big of a deal. So to get everything set up and ready while the blood is spinning, is what we're going to want to have is, like I said, our pipette tips and our quality control strip and the box of tests right here, right? So each box of tests is going to come with a chip. This chip is attached to this box. You can't use this chip on any other box. So what I'm just getting at is, don't take all your strips, say you have 3 boxes of test strips like this, and put them all in one container. Do not do that. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and keep each box separate, because this strip is attached to these test strips. So what happens is, if you use a test strip from a different box, the machine is going to read that it can't run the test because it has an incorrect chip. Now these chips is your calibration. So what's great about these machines is you do not have to calibrate them. All you have to do is put this chip in, let the machine read it, and you're good to go. So that's what we're gonna do right now, right? So what you're gonna go ahead and do is take your chip that comes to this box, put it in the ID chip slot, and now you're going to go ahead and you're going to click read ID chip. It's going to say read successful. You hit yes, and now the chip is calibrated to the machine, or the machine is calibrated to the chip. So each box comes with 10 test strips, so you'll get a different ID chip for every box of 10. Now on to the next thing, right? So what you're going to want to go ahead and do is go to QC, which is quality control. This is where your quality control strip comes in handy. So what we're going to do is go ahead and open this. And like I said, guys, you don't want to lose this, and you want to run this test every time you do a progesterone test to make sure that the machine is running correctly. So you'll go ahead, take your test strip, this quality control one, and you'll hit start. So now what this is going to do is it's going to go ahead and check the optics. It's going to check the circuit system. It's going to check everything, really. It's going to check everything. And if there's any issues, at that point, you can reach out to me if you bought the machine from us, or you can reach out to wondfo directly. They have a great customer service. So yeah, check the optical system, check the transmission, check the circuit system, and everything is normal. Quality inspection is completed. So we're going to go ahead and take this strip. And as I said, guys, you hold on to this, because you're going to do that every time you need to run a test, not just when you're starting up your machine for the first time. So this, what I do is I fold this up, put it in my little plastic bag I have over here, and then I'll put it on my shelf. So every time I got to do a test, I run that. So now we're good. You'll go to test, back to test, and now we'll put in some information real quick. You want to make sure that the sample is serum and plasma, not whole blood. The next thing is you want to make sure that it's set on dog. And now detailed information. This is a cool part, because you can put in, any bit of information that you want. The dog's name, the age, the weight, the doctor, if this is a vet clinic, everything, recording information, the gender. For me, since this is just at home, this machine is just for my dogs at home, I'm just gonna put the dog's name, and it's a progesterone. I like to put the name, and if it's a progesterone or a reverse, so when I go back and look at the information, I know what I was testing for. So it's Capri, and it's a progesterone. If it was reverse, it would be like a Capri, RS or something like that, or RP, whatever. So anyway, we'll hit yes. And like I said, you can fill out more of that information. And now the other thing is you have an option over here. Let's see if you can see it. Print automatically. So you can turn this on or you can turn it off, and that will print out the results up here. So if you have a client that you're doing a test for, you would probably want to print it. If it's at home, you may not want to waste the paper. That's up to you. So today, we'll go ahead and turn it on. Normally, I have it off. So our centrifuge should be done. And here's our blood, and it should be spun perfectly. Look at that. That's exactly what you want. It shouldn't be any blood in the top part. It should be as clear as possible. You really kind of don't want pink, things like that. That's exactly why I draw enough to do 2 samples just in case, because then the sample is no good if it has any blood in the top, in the serum part. So let's go ahead and pipe out what we need to do this, to take the serum out. Let me show you guys. So what you're going to want to do to now start the next part of the test, here's a buffer solution, right? What I love about these machines, yet again, is their test strips come with a buffer solution that's already pre-measured, so you don't have to do nothing. This is going to stay the same. Now what you're going to do is, like I said, if you get a pipette from us, it comes with a 75 UL pipette. So there's really not a lot of error for this. If you have an adjustable one, then you're going to have to set it to 75 ULs. This is already preset. You don't have to worry about that. So we'll go ahead and put a tip on. And you want to make sure that the tip is on really snug and tight. So I'll push it on. Make sure you're not pushing on the purple part that ejects it. So actually, let me just walk through the pipette a little bit, right? So with the pipette, the purple part is to eject. It's to eject the tips. And just be mindful that the purple part, on the side of it can eject the tip. So when putting on these pipette tips, you want to make sure that you're not really, that you're not hitting that and causing the tip to come off. So I put it on nice and snug and tight, and there should be, no wiggling or nothing. It should go right on, because any air, things like that, if it's not on tight enough, can cause incorrect pipetting. So this is what you want your pipette to look like. This is important, super, super, super important, what I'm about to show you right now, right? It's how to properly pipette, right? A lot of people get this wrong, and that's why when they first get their machines, they're getting really high numbers. It's because they're pipetting completely wrong. So I'm going to show you how to pipette the right way. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't know this. So this is our buffer. I'm going to use this as an example, right? This is the buffer, right? So the proper way to pipette, and remember, you don't want to be touching the purple part at all. You want your hands kind of away from that, right? So I have it like this. What you're going to want to go ahead and do, and I'm going to show you first, is pipetting. So this is how most people do it, and this is completely incorrect. They push down all the way and pull up all the way. That is not the proper way to pipette when you're doing a progesterone test, right? So this is what people are doing. They go ahead and look at where that is. It's almost all the way at the end of the pipette. That's how much we just drew up, right? Completely wrong. Now I'm going to show you the proper way to pipette. The proper way to pipette is there's a stop. So right here, almost in the midway mark, is a stop. You can feel the resistance. That is where you're supposed to stop when you're pipetting, the first stop. Then if I continue to go down, that's the part that ejects and flushes out whatever is left in the pipette. So that's where people get it wrong. So like I said, if you have your pipette out with you right now, I would advise do it with me. You'll see first stop, and then this is to completely flush it out. So first stop, and that's exactly where you're going to pipette from, and you'll pull up from the first stop. Then there's the second stop, which is all the way at the bottom. So when you're pipetting, like I said, you'll feel when you push down stop 1 and stop 2. We wanna pull serum from stop 1, which you can see, like I said, there's a little bit of a gap before it goes completely all the way down. Like I said, your best bet is to grab your pipette and try that out, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And that is the biggest mistake, because now if I pipette from the first stop, I hold that down there, and then I go ahead now and take out some buffer. You can see it looks like to be about 25% less than what was drawn before, which means 25% less is huge when you're doing a progesterone test. I've had people who they were pipetting wrong and were getting 20s and 25s. Then they pipetted the correct way, and the female was a 5 or a 6. You know, so that can drastically, and that's the number one issue I see people come with when they get their machine, is pipetting issues. So anyway, so now that we got that out of the way, I wanted to really show that, because that's one of the most important things that people get incorrect, is now we're going to go ahead and properly do our test. So I'll put the buffer right here for right now. I'll put on a new pipette tip, since we were playing around with that one. Put a new one on. So now that we got the new tip on, we'll go ahead and take our sample out. And here's a perfect example of what something else I'd like to show you guys, right? So our sample, for example, is a little bit clotted, and you can see that right there, right? A good way to tell if the sample's clotted, and there's a little bit of serum on top, but you can tell, is if you hold it to the side and it doesn't start to run off, like you know, as a liquid, and it stays in that same suspended state, then you know that the sample is a little bit clotted. So here's what you need to do, right? What you need to do, and I'll use like the syringe that we used, for example, right? And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and push down on the clotted part. And as you can see, that very, 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 very clouded part, that's all clotted. So I'm gonna push down on that. And yeah, it's going to go ahead and mix, but that's okay, because we have our centrifuge. So yeah, it mixed, but I pushed down the clotted cells. And now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is put this back in our centrifuge and let it spin down. And it's only going to take like seconds, you know, but sometimes that does happen. The sample that you have got clotted, so you go ahead, you gotta go ahead and respin it, you know. Sometimes if it's not super clotted, then you can go ahead and actually just respin it, and the serum should separate. Because what can happen is, if you try to pipette a sample that's clotted, what's going to happen is one of two things. Either the serum's not going to go in the pipette at all, or it's going to go into the pipette very slowly, which then at that point, in my opinion, you question the accuracy of how much you actually got pipetted, because it's so clotted. So I wouldn't even bother taking any chances. Go ahead and push down on the sample, or go ahead and respin it. That's all you got to do. It's probably done by right now. So gonna go ahead, take our sample out, and would you look at that? Now if you look and see, you can see where there's clotting. That's okay, because I got plenty of room. Let's see if I can hold it a little bit better, because I got plenty of room. Let's see. As you can see, I got plenty of room to pipette. Yes, there's clotting, but plenty of room to pipette and not mix any of the cells, and it's still very clear, you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop the top off, and like we said, push down to stop 1, and I'm gonna go ahead now and stay away from the clotted cells, but still pipette. Perfect. Got a perfect amount in there, very nice and clear. I'll go ahead and put this away back in the centrifuge for right now. Now we're gonna go ahead and take our buffer, and now with our buffer, actually, you know what? There's a little bit of bubbles. I don't like bubbles in the buffer, since we were going ahead and going back and forth with this buffer when I was showing you guys how to pipette. I don't like bubbles in my samples. So We're gonna start with this new one, and I will go ahead, and I like to hit it from the side, run it off from the side. Yet again, you don't really want bubbles in your sample, and that's it. That's it. Clear it out. Remember, now we could go ahead and clear the whole thing out. Like I said, I let it run off from the side, and I let the whole thing clear out. Now that it's all cleared out, and the other thing too is that you want to work fast, right? Because once you mix the two, you want to get it on the test strip as soon as possible. So what you can do is take it and shake it upside down like this, and shake the sample. You know, I'll take the top off, take the pipette tip and mix it around in there. Or if you got the test strip from us, if you got the bundle from us, you can go ahead and take a vortex spinner. The vortex spinner does is I go ahead and I just place it on top with a little bit of pressure, and it literally creates a miniature vortex inside the centrifuge to blend it perfectly. So you have different options. Like I said, do whatever works for you, whatever you have accessible to you, and now it's perfectly mixed. The next thing you're going to want to go ahead and do is take your test strip out and go ahead and on the test strip, you're going to go ahead and put it on the smaller circle here. This line is where it's going to read out at. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and same thing, take out from the first stop 75 ULs right there. We can go ahead and put this buffer away on our little shelf because we don't need this really anymore. And now we'll go ahead and put it on the test strip so I can show you guys. And now you can go ahead and flush it out yet again. See if you guys can see. Right? And now what you'll go ahead and do is put it into the slot right here. So now you have two options. You can do a standard test or a quick test. I always do a standard test, which is for 15 minutes. So hit start test, and now it's gonna run. And I don't know if you can see, but there's a little miniature timer right here that you can read, and it's at 15 minutes. So in 15 minutes, it's going to go ahead. There you go. It's going to go ahead and give us our results in 15 minutes. So what's really nice about it is I can walk away, do whatever I need to do, and not have to worry about, oh, I gotta hurry up and get back to read the result. It's gonna print it out for us anyway. And then the other thing too is, see the temperature. We let it run for a while before we actually ran the test. So it's at 24.8 degrees Celsius. That's perfectly fine. Like I said, you just want the machine to run for a little bit so that then the internal chamber is up and running and warmed up and is at the correct temperature it needs to be. The machine knows what temperature it needs to be. You don't have to worry about any of that. So that's pretty much it, guys. We'll come back in 15 minutes just to kind of read results and pretty much just go from there. All right, guys, so we're back and we got the results, right? So the female that we tested, she's only a 1.86. You really don't have to worry about this bigger number over here. Based off of our results that we got, we can go ahead and refer back to our chart, and based off of what number she is going to dictate basically where you're at, whether it's ovulation, whether it's time to breed, whatever the case it may be. So one thing to be mindful, guys, I'm always not really too concerned with the higher end numbers. What I'm most concerned about is I want to see where ovulation is, from a 6 to a 10. Once I see ovulation and the numbers start to spike, then I breed 48 hours after ovulation. That's when I do my first AI. Surgical is going to be different. But I mostly do AIs, so that's what I go based off of. Typically the a surgical will then be like 72 hours after after the ovulation, but the chart is really what I would refer to, guys. Each machine, each test box that goes out with our kits, if you get a test kit from us, you're going to get one of these. And the charts don't really change, but sometimes they change based off of the box that you got, the lot. So if that's the case, the numbers, you go off of this chart. That's always what you go based off of. And just remember, guys, no two machines read the same unless it's the same exact machine. This chart is different from IDEX, different from Minivitis. So when people say my vet said it's this number and you're saying it's this number, just tell them that they go based off of different charts, so you really can't compare the two. I also come into that a lot, so just something to be mindful of. It spit out our test strip. Now we can throw this out. We don't need this anymore. And Now you have the report right here that you can tear off and give to your client. As well as on these machines, you can go ahead and go to history, and there's all types of ways that you can search. You can see the history for the day. You can go ahead and actually search the dog's name, for example, and give you the history on the dog's name. There's all types of ways to be able to check this, and you could delete certain parts of the history. You can reprint, you know, click this here and reprint the history, do all kinds of stuff like that. So like I said, this is a great machine, guys. I've been using this for a while now. Absolutely love it. And then when I power off the machine, all I got to do, reset the slot. The slot has gone back in, and now we can go ahead and turn it off, and we're good to go, guys. All right, so I go ahead and I actually have these covers. I put my cover back over my machine so that I don't get dust in there, and that's pretty much it, guys. All right, so I hope this was helpful. If you have any other further questions, especially if you got a machine from us, guys, don't hesitate to contact me, reach out to me. All right, guys, hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Breeders Hacks.